The SNP leader tried to take credit for the Shetland spaceport and seemed to suggest Scots face more complex health needs than those elsewhere in the UK in a car crash performance. Fiona Bruce will find herself at the end of nationalist anger on Friday after she dismantled John Swinney's IF2 strategy and the SNP's record in government. The First Minister appeared on a BBC Question Time special on Thursday with other party leaders ahead of the general election. But he was left looking like a fish out of water in York as he bumbled his way through an excruciating appearance. At one point, he appeared to suggest people in Scotland face more complex health issues than elsewhere in the UK in a desperate bid to defend his party's record on the NHS. And he even used the UK government-funded spaceport in Shetland as an example of the SNP boosting Scottish manufacturing. At one point, an audience member asked him whether he would keep holding referenda until you get what you want. Mr. Swinney said politicians should set out what they actually believe in and let people decide, and that he was a Democrat who respected the right of the people of Scotland to decide their own future, despite ignoring the result of the 2014 referendum. Bruce repeatedly challenged him on what it would mean for his democratic mandate for independence if the SNP failed to win a majority of Scottish seats in July given, she suggested, it would be a democratic decision that you shouldn't be pursuing independence. When he repeated that he wanted people in Scotland to confidently vote for the SNP so the party could turn its manifesto into reality, she concluded he was not going to answer the question. The SNP claims a majority of nationalist MPs in Scotland would be a mandate for a second vote on breaking up the UK, but the plan has been rubbished even within the Skexit movement. At one point, Bruce told Mr. Swinney that 7,000 people in Scotland are waiting 2 years for treatment in comparison to just 300 in England. Asked why there is such a discrepancy, Mr. Swinney stumbled through a bizarre answer, saying, I suspect what it probably is to do with, is just about the nature of some of the complex health conditions that people are experiencing and how they are addressed. He blamed Brexit for issues in manufacturing but claimed his party was supporting new, fresh, dynamic ideas, the ideas of the future, and would support new companies emerging from universities. He pointed to the example of satellites being launched in Scotland, which he said would have seemed a big ask a few years ago, something picked up by broadcaster Andrew Neil. He said, SNP leader John Swinney was asked on the BBC last night what he'd do for manufacturing in Scotland. Bizarrely, he ended up citing the new rocket launch station in the Shetlands. Bizarre, because A, launching rockets is not manufacturing, B, the Shetland venture is a UK government-backed project with which the SNP government in Edinburgh has barely been involved. Honest John knows that but calculated the audience wouldn't.